Hello, in this video we are looking at the cell phone call data. Now we already see this diagram on our PowerPoint, which is this. Now we're going to look at how can we create this diagram using our Excel. Okay, so this is the data set under the tab called the line charts, and please click that tab to get in this data set. And again, the data set we are working on here is not the situation we are looking for, and I just want you guys to get a good habit so that can avoid creating errors. So you always want to make sure your data are starting from the first row and first column. As you notice that our data start from the third row and the second column. So therefore we want to delete the blank column and the row that is not relevant with our data. So first select the first and the second row, and then right click the mouse and delete. And then we are doing the same thing for the first column. Since there is no data, choose the first column, right click the mouse, and then choose delete. Now we have the first column is the year that we're going to use to creating our horizontal axis label. Notice that. But we do have the two line chart on this diagram. So therefore we need the column B and the C as the variable value to creating this chart. So to creating this line chart, we will select the B and the C column, including the label. Okay, after you do that, and then we are going to the Insert tab. And under the Insert tab, we are going to the Chart sections. And you will be immediately notice there is one little icon look like our line chart called an Insert Line or Area Chart. And you're going to click this little icon. And then we can decide whether we want a marker or not. So we can pick the simple one, or we can add in a marker. Okay, so what I decide is I'm gonna adding the marker. So to make the one look like what we saw on the diagram, and then I decide to add in the marker. So the difference between the line with the mark, so we should choose line with the marker. Okay, so now if you look at this diagram, it's still look very different than what we saw on the diagram here, because as you notice that the first axis here is for dollar per month, and the second whole vertical axis here is for the minute per call. So that means we're using the two vertical axis to label for different variables, because these two variables, they are measured on the different scale, right? As you can see, the average call length tend to be have a much smaller value than the bill, the dollar they charged. And besides that, we are missing the year down here. Instead of 2010 to 2020, we have 1 to 11. So we need a lot of adjustment for the chart. So how can you make those adjustments? So first select this chart, and we're going to chart design. The chart design. Okay, the chart design. And the first, what we're gonna do is we are gonna okay, so chart design. What we first are gonna do is we are adding our years to changing our horizontal axis to the value of years. And to do so, okay, under the chart design, and we are going to select data. Okay, after you click the select data, you notice that here there's one option called the horizontal axis label, right? So you're gonna click edit. Now you're gonna select the value from 2010 to 2020. And after you do that, you can click OK. Now you will instantly notice the change on your graph. Instead of 1 to 11, now you see that on the bottom here become the year now. And now if you do that, you can click OK. Okay, so we finished fixing this. Second, I want to add in another vertical axis here so that I can use them for the average call length. To do that, still under the chart design, add chart element. Okay, so I will add in the secondary axis after the main part, because most of our data, you don't need to deal with that. So, but it's very important that you do need to label your vertical and the horizontal axis, right? So in order to do that, you need to add in a chart element, okay? And go into here called the primary horizontal. You click that, oops. Okay, primary horizontal, and also you're gonna click axis primary vertical. So in that situation, you are adding this two text boxes, and you can start adding. So this the average bill and then this is the year. And then you can give a chart title. If you don't want it, you can click then and delete it. Okay, so this is usually what we're gonna do for our line chart. But like I said, I wanna add in a little bit special because sometimes you might wanna have two axes like what we saw on this chart, right? Because the two variables are measured on the different scales. So in order to make them comparable, and you wanna add in the second axis, like I said, this is just additional. So most of our assignment does not require, all of our assignment does not require you to creating a secondary vertical axis. So how can you add in the secondary vertical axis? To do that, you click the chart, okay, and then go into the chart design and go into called the change chart type. Okay, once you do that, and we are going down to called the combo. So go into the combo that, as you can see, we have two serial, the monthly bill and the call length. And we'll make sure they all chose the same style, right? We had the line chart with the marker. And then we want to, let's see, we want to put the average call length to the secondary axis. So then you're going to just check the box here and then click OK. So now I'm able to change my, my table that my chart only had a one vertical axis to two. So the left hand side, this vertical axis is labeled for the average monthly bill, and the right hand side vertical axis here is labeled for the average call length, right? So then we have the legend for my lines so people can read it better. Again, so adding the secondary vertical axis is really something additional. For my class, you don't need to really know, but just in case you need it, and so in this video, you are able to find this kind of help adding the secondary vertical axis to your line chart.